Yo guys, it's Dylan with DylAcademy and we're going to be doing math paper 4H from June 2010. Okay, so first question is really simple. What they're asking you to solve for y. So to do that we got to get the y's on one side and we got to get the numbers on the other side. So what we're going to do is to get the y's on one side, we're going to subtract 3y on both sides and we're going to add 9 on both sides so we get the numbers on one side. This is basic algebra, I hope you guys know. So in the end you're going to get 6y minus 3y is equal to 7 plus 9. So 6y minus 3y is 3y and 7 plus 9 is 16. So to get y alone we got to divide both sides by 3 and these two cancel. So we're going to get y is equal to 16 over 3, which is just 5.33, and that's given to three significant figures. Okay, second question shows two towns on a map, A and B. And they're asking you in 2A to find the bearing of B from A. So bearing is just like basically an angle measured from north, and it helps you give directions when you're using maps or something like that. So you basically, the question is asking you what angle do you have to take to get to the town B from A. Now remember, it's an angle measured from north. So the angle you want to measure is just this angle. See, because you start from north, right? Over here you start from north, you go around in a clockwise direction, and you go around in a clockwise direction. By the way, bearings are, the angle is clockwise. Yeah, you don't measure from north in this direction, right? So you go in a clockwise direction, and you go and you touch the line of the direction in which you want to travel, and you just basically measure this whole angle here. And that angle will be your bearing. So a simple way of doing this is, because look, you're not going to measure this whole angle, it's impossible on a protractor. So what you do is you draw a line here, you measure this angle here, and since you know that this angle is 180, you just add 180, you just add this to 180 and that'll be your bearing. And your answer should lie in a range of 248 to 252 degrees. Okay, so 2B, what they're saying is C is another town on the map, and the bearing of C from A is 50 degrees. Meaning to get to C from A is a bearing of 50 degrees. So I'm just going to do this rough, because I don't have a protractor on an iPad. So let's say, because it's 50 degrees, we go from north, from A, 50 degrees, I think that's about 50 degrees, and we draw a line to C, so that bearing is 50 degrees. Now they're asking you to find the bearing of A from C. So meaning getting back to A from town C. So what is the bearing? So let's just draw like a little arrow to show north, so it's simpler to understand. Okay, so the angle we're trying to measure is this angle, because we want to go back. Now this involves a bit of like rules, like geometry rules. So if you look at this diagram, you can see that this north and this north are both parallel lines, right? So and these two angles, 1 and 2, they are interior angles. Now what do you know about interior angles? Interior angles in two parallel lines add up to 180 degrees. So that means that we'll call this angle x, right? So that means that x plus 50 should be equal to 180 degrees. Now if we subtract 50 on both sides, we're going to get x is equal to 130 degrees. So 130 degrees. Now, notice that all of these angles lie on a point, which is this point. Now what you know about angles on a point, they all add up to 360 degrees. So that means that 130 plus, let's call this bearing angle, this angle y, which is the angle we want to find, the bearing, we'll call that y. So 130 plus y should be equal to 360 degrees. So subtract 130 on both sides and we're going to get an answer of y is equal to 230 degrees. So the bearing of A from C is 230 degrees. Alright, so question 3 is about probability. And in this question they say that a spinner can land on either red, blue or yellow. So there are 3 possibilities, red, blue or yellow. And the probability that it'll land on red is 0.5. The probability that it'll land on blue is 0.2. Now what is the probability that it'll land on a yellow? Now as you know, land on a yellow when Imad spins the spinner once. So as you guys probably know, all probability is a fraction, and it should always add to 1. So that means that all these probabilities added together should give me 1. So that means that 0.5 plus 0.2 plus, let's say the probability of yellow, we'll call it x, plus x will give me 1. So x is equal to 1 minus 0.5 minus 0.2, again basic algebra. So that means that the probability that it will land on a yellow is 0.3, because x is the probability that will land on a yellow. So question 3b says that Janet spins the spinner 30 times. Work out an estimate, keyword estimate, for the number of times the spinner will land on blue. So now we know that it's either red, blue, or yellow, and we know that the probability that it will land on a blue is 0.2, right? Now 0.2 can be written as a fraction, as 2 over 10. This is simple stuff, I'm expecting you guys to know this. And so that means that the probability of it landing on a blue is 2 out of 10. So if I do this, let's say I do it the first time, I have a 2 out of 10 chance. I do it a second time, I have another 2 out of 10 chance. So if you think about it, the probability keeps multiplying depending on the number of times. So all I have to do to find out the estimate for the number of times the spinner will land on blue is 2 out of 10 multiplied by the number of times I spin, which is in this case 30. So just do your math. You get 2 times 3, which is 6 times that it'll land on blue. And again, this is an estimate. It's not always gonna land 6 times exactly. It's just an estimate. Okay, so question 4a is pretty simple. Rosetta drives 85 kilometers in 1 hour and 15 minutes. So work out her average speed in kilometers per hour. Alright, so this is a simple equation. Speed is equal to distance over time. Now the distance is 85 kilometers and the time is 1 hour and 15 minutes. So if I was to write time, like especially time, because you can't write 1.15 because that is not exactly the time in hours, you know, because 15 minutes is actually a quarter of an hour, so it's 0.25 of an hour, right? So he travels 1 hour and 0.25 hours, because 15 minutes is 0.25 of an hour. So the time traveled is 1.25 hours, and the distance traveled is 85. So all you got to do to find speed is divide these, and that will give you an answer of 68 kilometers per hour. Question 4b, again really simple. Rosetta drives a total distance of 136 kilometers. Work out 85 as a percentage of 136. When they ask you to find something as a percent of something else, all you got to do is take the initial number and a percent of the other number, and so you just take the initial number, which is 85, as a percent of 136, meaning out of 136, and that's your fraction. And to make it a percentage, you just multiply fractions by 100. So that'll give you a percentage of 62.5%. Okay, question 4c, a little bit of a higher level question, and they say that sometimes Rosetta travels by train to save money. The cost of her journey by car is £12. The cost of her journey by train is 15% less than the cost of her journey by car. So let's get something straight. So let's call the cost of Rosetta's journey by train X. Alright? So we know that the cost of the journey by car is £12. Okay? Now, to find X, X is 15% less than the cost of her journey by car. So first of all, let's find the amount by which the train cost is less. So you just got to do 15%, so 15 over 100, multiplied by 12. And that'll give you an answer of 1.8 pounds. So that means that the cost of the train journey is 1.8 pounds less than the cost of the journey by car. So we have to find the cost of Rosetta's journey by train. So we have to actually find the cost. So all we have to do is 12 minus 1.8. And that'll give you an answer of 10.2. Yeah, just add the 10.20 because we're talking about money. So yeah, 10.20. Alright, question 5, you're given a right angle triangle and you're being asked to find the value of x. This is very simple. Again, I hope you guys know what a Pythagoras theorem is. If you don't, okay, so for example, if I have a right angle triangle, okay, this is a really bad right angle triangle, and I have the sides A, B, and C. What Pythagoras theorem basically says is the hypotenuse, which is the angle opposite which is the side opposite the right angle, the hypotenuse, squared is equal to the other two sides added together, the squares of the other two sides added together. So this is the rule. Now we can apply this rule to this question. In this case, the hypotenuse is x, so x squared is equal to 3.3 squared plus 1.8 squared. So x squared is equal to 14.13. Now to get x alone and to find what x is, we have to square root both sides. So we're going to get x is equal to square root of 14.13, and square root of 14.13 is equal to 3.7589, which in three significant figures is 3.76. So x is equal to 3.76. Okay, question 6a is about sets, and they've given you two sets A and B and stated the elements in each. And 6a1 is asking you to list the members of A intersect B. Now this sign means intersect, and it means what they have in common. So all you have to do is look at the numbers which they have in common. Now if you look closely enough, you'll find that they have a 4 in common and they have a 5 in common. So that means that A intersect B is equal to 4 and 5. Now similarly, the second question is asking you how many members are there in A union B. Now this union means all of the numbers possible in both sets A and B. Okay, so all the numbers, so you have to tell me, okay, first let's decide what members there are in A union B. So if you look, there's 2 is possible in A, 3 is possible in A and B, 4 is possible in A and B, 5 is possible in A and B, 6 is possible in A and B, and 7 is possible in A and B. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are all possible. Now you have to find out the number of members. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 is the answer, because there are 6 members in A union B. Alright, so question 6b has given you like sets, and they've just stated things, and question 6b1 is asking you to list the possible members of a set Q. So first of all, let me describe each set. So this set is basically, this squiggly side over there is basically like all the numbers possible. So all the possible numbers that can exist in this question. This gives you the numbers in set P. This tells you that set Q and R contain exactly 3 members. P intersect Q is 3 and 4, meaning Q and P are the same as in they have the numbers 3 and 4. And P intersect R has the numbers 3 and 4 as well. And it says that set Q is not the same as set R, meaning it can't be exactly the same. They can have some common overlapping features, but they cannot be the same. So, if you were to think of possible members that could exist in set Q, it would definitely be 3 and 4, because P and Q have the numbers 3 and 4 in common, meaning Q should have the numbers 3 and 4. So that means that 3 and 4 are possible members. But this statement says that they contain 3 other numbers. So, you know that they don't contain 5 because they never said P and Q have 5 in common. And so you know that, okay, so you know that 5 cannot exist in Q. And 3 and 4 you've already written down. So that leaves 6 or 7. So, really honestly it doesn't matter. It could be either 6 or it could be 7, as long as R has one of them and Q has one of them. So if Q has 6, then R should have 7. If Q has 7, then R should have 6. It doesn't really matter again, so you can either write 6 or 7, but I'll just write 6 for the heck of it. So that means that the members in Q is 3, 4, and 6. Now the members in R should be 3 and 4 because P and Q have 3 and 4 in common with R. P and R have 3 and 4 in common. And it should be the other number, not 6, because Q and R cannot be exactly the same. So that means that it should be 7, which is the other number that is possible in this whole question. Okay, question 7 gives you this thing that rectangular tiles have a width of x plus 1 and a height of 5x minus 2. Okay, you can read the whole question. It's on the screen anyway. And they tell you, blah blah blah, they say these tiles are used to make a floor. So they say that the perimeter of this large rectangle is 68, right? And they're asking you to write an equation in x. So if you just think about it, this whole large rectangle is made from each of these individual tiles, meaning each of these tiles should have like a 5x minus 2 here, a 5x minus 2 here, and a 5x minus 2 here, and then, you know, they should have their respective x plus 1 widths. So to write an equation, you know that the entire perimeter is 68, and you know that the height should be 5x minus 2 times 3. So 5x minus 2 times 3, right? And you should know that the width should be x plus 1 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 7. So to find the perimeter, it's just adding all of the sides of a rectangle. So then you have to add this height again, and you have to add this width again. So you can just plus 5x minus 2 times 3 plus x plus 1 times 7, and that should be equal to the total perimeter, which is 68. Now, instead of writing 5x minus 2 times 3 twice, you can just do 5x minus 2 times 3 times 2, because like it's anyways 2 times, plus x plus 1 times 7 times 2 equals 68. So what you're going to get is 5x minus 2 times 6 plus x plus 1 times 14 equals, forget 68. Sorry if you can't read that. So I have the equation 5x minus 2 times 6 plus x plus 1 times 14 equals 68. Now if I divide both sides by 2, what I'm going to get is 5x minus 2 times 3 plus x plus 1 times 7 is equal to 34. And that is my equation in terms of x. So 7b is asking you to solve your equation and find the value of x. Now this is just simple expansion. So when you're expanding, you multiply the term by each individual term. So I'm just going to expand this quickly. You're going to get 15x minus 6 plus 7x plus 7 is equal to 34. Now 15x plus 7x, again look at these two, is 22x. Minus 6 plus 7 is plus 1, and that is equal to 34. So we just subtract 1 on both sides. We're going to get 22x, I'll do the working up here because I have no space. 22x is equal to 33. So x is equal to 33 over 22, which is 3 over 2. So x is equal to 1.5. Alright, so for question 8, you're supposed to show that this equation is valid. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this bottom half, the left hand side, and we're going to prove it, and we're going to prove that it equals the right hand side. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these mixed fractions and turn them into improper fractions. I hope you know how to do that. Just in case you don't, you take the bottom number here, you multiply it by this number, then you add this number to convert it into an improper fraction. So you take 2, you multiply it by 1, you get 2. Then you add 1, so 2 plus 1 gives you 3. And then you divide that by this number here, so 3 over 2. Now the same thing we're going to do for the next one. So we're going to take 4 multiplied by the 1 over here. So we get 4. 4 times 1 is 4. Then you add it to the 1 over here. So 4 times 1 plus 1 is 5. So you get, divided by 5 over, then you take this number here, 4. So you have this in improper terms, and now it's much easier to prove. So when you're dividing two fractions, you can actually turn it to multiplication if you swap these around. So this can be written as 3 over 2 multiplied by 4 over 5. So now you just do normal fraction multiplication, and you're going to get 3 times 4, which is 12 over 10. Now, 12 over 10, you need to convert it into an improper fraction. So 10 goes in 12 one time, and that means you'll have a remainder of 2 over 10. And 2 over 10 is nothing but 1 over 5, so it's just 1 over 5. And so that is equal to this over here. So you've proven it. Alright, question 9 is really simple. They say the depth of water in the reservoir increases from 14 to 15.75. Work out the percentage increase. So first of all, to find the percentage increase, we have to find the amount of increase. So the new depth is 15.75 minus the old depth, which is 14. So that means the depth of the water increased by an amount of 1.75. Now, we need to find a percentage increase, so we need to find out a fraction. So when we want to find increase, we got to compare it to the original value. So we have to got to compare it to the original depth. So we have to compare the increase to the original depth of 14. So we say that the increase is 1.75 divided by 14, because that's the amount by which it increased. Now we need it in percentage terms. So all we got to do is take this fraction and multiply it by 100. So it's 1.75 divided by 14 times 100. And that should give you a percentage of 12.5%. So that means that the depth of water increased by 12.5% compared to the original amount. Alright, thanks for watching part 1. Please go on to watch part 2. And comment if you have any questions, rate this video, 5 stars please, and subscribe as well to this channel. Okay, thanks, and see you guys in the next video.